Hello and welcome everyone to the latest episode of Relatics What's New, where we serve you the brandest, newest features that our developers have cooked up. My name is Sebastian Kola, and as you use by now, I'll be your host for today, and I'm joined here in the studio by my colleagues Martin Dijkstra and Ruben Tucker. Welcome, guys. Just a public service announcement. As always, you're able to send in your questions live, and we will have our expert panel behind the scenes answer them throughout the episode. Now, you can do this in English or in Dutch, so don't worry, we're bilingual in that aspect. Now, when you're working on a project, there's a lot of data, of course, generated. So the key theme of this episode is quick and easy access at any time to get the information that you're looking for. Now, we have a few improvements in that area. Isn't it right, Martin?
Yeah, that's correct, Sebastian. Let me start with the situation of large overview tables in Relatics. If you want to search for specific information in such a large table, currently it's not always that straightforward and that easy. I have an example of this. Let me show you here in the software. I have a requirement use case. As you can see, it has a few columns and quite some rows. And for example, if you now want to look for the word road in your requirements, it's not always that straightforward. Basically, I see users do two different things right now. They either use the Control F command, which activates your browser search functionality, or they use column filters to filter on a table, but both are not 100% ideal because the Control F only looks in only those rows that you currently see on your screen. And if you have many rows, then you might not find all results. You have to scroll down and search again to find other results. And also the filter option on the table. Here you could, for example, search for road. It's also a little bit overkill because sometimes you just want to localize the items that you're looking for and not necessarily filter a table. So our developers created something new for this. It's basically a search functionality in overview tables. Here you can find a new icon, which you can either click on it, of course, or you can use the Control F command, which now does not activate your browser search functionality anymore, but it activates the Relatics search. And now, of course, you can start looking for the item that you have in mind. So, for example, road, and you see immediately how many hits you have. So 32 requirements in this case, or 32 hits, I have to say. And immediately you see that the cells which contain your search item are highlighted. Well, you can just use the arrows to jump through the search results. You can also use the enter button to go down, or the shift enter button to go up again. And what is good to mention is this search functionality is searching through all the columns that you have visible in your table, in your overview. No more and no less. So it's basically what you see is where you search, you could say. And what is also nice to mention is that it's really a state of the table. Which means that when you activate the search functionality and you search for something, the table will stay in this state until you disable it again. So when you click on it again, and that can be easy or handy if you, for example, if you want to change all the road requirements and you want to change certain words, you can just leave the table in this state. Go through the items one by one, and then when you're finished, you can click on the item again, and you can continue your work. So to sum it up, it's really nice, handy feature to quickly find the information in large overview tables that you're looking for.
Okay, but one important question. Where can users actually find this functionality? Where can they find this button?
This button is located on all the overview tables, so on all elements view, the my view, and any use cases you might have.
Wow. So indeed, a very easy and accessible feature to help our users find the right information that they're looking for. Now, in the same vein, Martin, there's also been some improvements made to filtering. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, of course. Basically, this is a slight improvement to an existing functionality, the existing filter functionality, and it has to do with filtering a table based on a specific relationship, whether this is a standard or a collection relation. Maybe it's a little bit fuzzy still, so let me immediately show you what I mean. I'm here in the same use case again, and basically in this example there are two ways to filter requirements to only see those requirements that I'm responsible for. You can either use the advanced filter option here, which has many advanced filter options, but you can also use the quick filter on a column. And we did a small change here because what we noticed is that users were not finding this maybe the most intuitive, because what happens currently if you use this filter icon, you don't get to select specific persons in this case, but you had to use a contains filter. So you had to type in a search term, which, for example, in this case, you had to fill in the name of the person you're interested in, which is obviously not exactly the same as just picking a specific person. And it's also not really handy if you, for example, only type in John. In this case, yeah, you would find more requirements than you're actually looking for, because there are multiple Johns in this project. So what we did, what our developers did is, oh yeah, and what I forgot to mention, you could actually already currently select specific persons, but you had to use an icon which was a little bit higher here, right here, which did allow you to select only one person. But we noticed that not all users could find this icon easily, and it was also not really clear what was the difference between them. So what we did is we removed the top icon, and if you now click on this icon, then you can select an individual person. I have to say that it's only in those cases where you're filtering on the main property of an element. So in this case, the name of a person, this is the main property of an element, of this element in this case, what's what we call the display name. In other examples, so if, for example, if you would also display the email address of the person or the phone number, you would still get this contains, but we expect that when it's about the display name, in this case the name, you want to have the specific item filter, so to say. Yeah, so that was it for the column filter.
Really? So does that mean that the contains filter has just been replaced or disappeared?
No, it's not completely gone. Like I said, if you have other columns which are not the main property, then you can still do a contains. In those, I think, rare cases that you still want to use a contains filter, in this case on the name of a person, you can actually still do that, but then you have to use the advanced filter right here.
Great, thank you. So you heard it, some improvements to filtering and a new feature with find in table that I'm sure a lot of our users will very much appreciate. Now on to you, Ruben. I mean, we have had some consultancy adventures together, and in some of those adventures, the next feature would have helped us out and, you know, saved us a lot of time. Now I'm talking about subset of elements. Please, tell us about it.
Sure. Well, as you've mentioned, this development cycle has been focusing on implementing multiple search features, which will make it quick and easy for users to find specific set of elements so that nothing is overlooked on the project. But in my experience, and in your experience as well, of course, we get a lot of questions about existing sets of elements, so specific set of elements that might not share any common value, like a property value, a status value, or maybe a relation to a specific element. In other words, we're looking for a set of elements that we would not be able to achieve by using any existing filter features or or well, simply only being able to look at that specific set by manually searching for the elements, which of course can take a lot of time and effort. So that is why our colleagues from development have added the feature subset of elements. So I would like to move on to Relatics to show you how this new feature works. So I'm in my Relatics environment. I'll open my workspace. And again, as a consultant, I get a lot of questions about finding those specific sets of elements. So we've added a table feature, which can be found in the ribbon right here at the top, subset of elements. And this is a feature that you will be able to use on all overview tables. So again, on all use cases, on the all elements view, and on any my view tables on the overview. And I want to give you an example of something I would come across in my daily or in my day-to-day business as a consultant. So for this example, my colleague Martin has sent me an email posing as a client, in this case, asking me a question about a specific set of requirements. So he wants me to update some requirements, and he wants to add a relation to him as a responsible person. But unfortunately, Martin has forgot the Relatics IDs. So he just sent me a list of some requirement names. Well, no worries. I can simply copy those names, go back to Relatics, open up my subset of elements, and you'll get a dialog box in which you can search on either the display name of an element or the Relatics ID. And I can simply paste those names in this dialog box, and then Relatics will automatically recognize those names of the requirements and select them for this subset. Then when I hit apply, I have this table feature zooming in on that specific set of elements, which easily allows me to update a relation to, let's say, Martin as a responsible person for these requirements. Another example, which we come across as consultants a lot as well, is I could receive, and I'll move back to my environment, I'll receive an Excel file from a client asking questions about an existing set of elements. Now, again, this could be a set of elements that don't share any common value. Maybe I imported them a few months ago, or a colleague of mine imported them a few months ago, and we want to update this pre-existing set. So without having to manually search for that set, I can simply go back to that Excel, copy the Relatics ID, go back to Relatics, and I'll just disable and enable, and I can simply paste those Relatics IDs into that dialog box to get that specific set of elements. And again, Relatics will recognize those Relatics IDs, showing us that these are existing requirements, and I can simply hit apply. Let's say I want to update the type for this set. So and all these requirements should now be functional requirements. I can simply look at this set, copy a type, and then implement it over all these requirements, allowing me to easily update this information without having to manually search for that specific set. And it even helps you in identifying if there are any mistakes in your data set. So if I go back to that Excel file, let's say I copy the names. So I just copy that column and I go back to the table, disable subset of elements, then enable subset of elements again, and paste those names. As you can see, apparently somebody made a typing error in the name of one of the requirements. And then Relatics will give me that prompt telling me that one of those requirements actually do not exist. And if I look very closely, I can see that somebody forgot the letter I in bicycle lane. Relatics is actually telling me that mistake from the Excel, showing me that mistake in Relatics. I'll just zoom out a bit again. So you can then quickly correct that mistake, or either dropping that requirement from the subset and then moving on and applying that subset to look or zoom in on that specific set.
All right. Now you showed us a couple of use cases where we create a subset based on external data. Yeah. So from either from Excel or from an email. Now, is it also possible to create a subset internally, so from Relatics?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I would say the hard way was copy pasting from external sources, but of course it's also possible to just use this subset of elements in Relatics itself. So you can simply either click on some icons by holding down Shift to select an entire row, or you could and then of course I could copy them and paste them into the subset, or I could select some or cherry pick some requirements, so to say, and then copy that and paste that into the subset of elements. And this is on the icon. You could of course also just look for any requirement name. So I can look for requirements that have the word traffic in them, and I can simply select those requirements and add them to the list to achieve that specific subset of elements that don't share any common value, which excludes you from using the existing filters.
All right, thank you, Ruben. So you heard it, a very powerful feature. For some of you, it will help you out and save some time left and right. And for some of you, it will actually be a lifesaver. Now, back to you, Martin, because, well, you shared your screen earlier, and I couldn't help but notice something. You talked about finding in table, but there was also another search box at the top right corner of your environment. Can you tell us a little bit about it? What is it?
Yeah, of course. Well, indeed, before I was showing how you could find something in one specific overview table. But in some cases, you might just want to search through your whole project information. And let me go back to the software again, because indeed, probably some viewers might have already noticed. In the top right corner, there's a new search bar, and this allows you to actually search through your entire workspace. So it searches in all the properties, in all the derived elements, in any middle elements, even attachment names. And it comes in quite handy, either when you're looking for something really specific, you know exactly what you're looking for, and you just quickly want to go to that specific item. So if I want to go, for example, to my own detail page, or I can also just use the ID of an item. So if I know it's risk 6 that I'm interested in, I can just quickly go to that specific item. But obviously it comes in handy as well if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, but you just have a rough idea. So for example, if I use the word road again as my search term, then you can see here that you get a whole bunch of search results. And this example shows that it's searching through the entire project. So you see requirements, you see risks, work packages, etc. And what you see on the right-hand side as well, you could imagine that you do know that it's, for example, a requirement that you're looking for. Then you can filter the search results by just searching through all the requirements. Once you click on it, something interesting happens again, because then you, on the right-hand side in the sidebar, then you can see all the properties of requirements and all the relationships, and they allow you also to drill down your search results even more. So in my example again, if I know that I'm the responsible person, I can just add this to my filter. Maybe I also know that it's a requirement with status applied that I had in mind, and by this you can just narrow down your search results. Well, if you want to open it, you can obviously just click on it. You can also use your arrow keys to go through the search results, and when you press enter, then the details of this specific item appears. Another handy feature, maybe in cases where you just want to take some more time to browse through your search results, is either directly now clicking on enter or pressing this button. And what happens then is then a dedicated search result page appears. And like I said, now you can take a little bit more time, maybe go through the specific items. And yeah, this might be handy if you just want to maybe do some find and replace actions, or you just want to yeah, browse a little bit more slowly through all the search results. So yeah, that's a real cool new generic search functionality to Relatics to quickly find the information that you're looking for.
Well, that's a very powerful feature indeed, the workspace-wide search option. But the thing is, if it searches through all the information and data in the workspace, what about data that a user is not allowed to have access to?
Mm-hmm.
What about those cases?
Well, you're referring to the no access feature, I guess.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you have a role which does not allow you to see specific information, then you will also not be able to find it using the search functionality. So it's obvious.
Amazing. Thank you, Martin. So we have had a couple of really cool features, but that's not all. There is actually more. Now I'm going to turn to you again, Ruben. What's more?
Yeah, so before diving into what's more, I wanted to add something to the subset of elements because I forgot to mention this, but for some viewers who might have noticed it in my Excel table, subset of elements also copies the sequence you have in your file. So the sequence doesn't have to be the same sequence as you have in Relatics. So it doesn't have to be requirement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can be jumbled around into a new sequence, and then the subset will actually copy that sequence as well. So I just wanted to add that. Onto the what's more segment. So we have some other features that are going to be released for this new version. So our colleagues from development have added those features to Relatics 6.7. But we want to notify you of these new features. So we'll move to this presentation. We have a few features with updates to how reports work. So for example, if you would create a report based on risks, as you can see from this screenshot, I'm just looking at a table which shows me risks. You might have some risks that are missing a certain value. Like in this case, you have some risks, like risk number 4 and 5, or 4 and 6, that are missing their score. Normally, you could report on them, and then you would probably read something about the risk, but you would be missing the score. And in this example, I actually have a part of the text before the value. So the result would be you would first see the word name and then the name of the risk, and then the word score and then the score of the risk. What this new feature, skip if empty, allows you to do is it allows you to add the question mark prefix to the text to make sure that this text is not a part of the output when the risk doesn't have a score, which would result in this report. As you can see, risks 1, 2, and 3 have their name and their score in the report, but then for risk 4, you see the name and you see the idea, but the score has been left out, and the same goes for risk 6. And you can use this on any text you've added to your Relatics report. Next up, we have another update for reports where the filters in reports work a bit differently than in the current situation. So I have an example here. Let's say I'm trying to create a table where I'm reporting on persons and their responsible actions. As you can see, and you don't have to completely dive into the report syntax, but as you can see, I'm filtering on the action, namely to report only the actions with a high priority, which would result in this report in the current situation. Now, what this is actually doing is it's only providing me with actions that have a high priority, but it's also filtering out any persons that don't have actions with a priority high linked to them. So the filter is actually working on the root level of person as well. With the new way of filtering in reports, we can use that same report syntax, so still the filter only on action, but the result will be different, and it will actually add any persons that don't have any actions linked to them, basically signifying that this filter now works much like an optional relation would in Relatics. Again, this might be a bit complex for people who don't work with reports, so I would suggest reading the release notes that come out after the webinar, and also to use the help functionality in Relatics, where you can just simply search for report syntax to get a complete article of how report syntax works. Next up, we have an update on standard integrations. So let's say, for example, you have an integration in your workspace with SharePoint, so with an external system, and you are showing documents from SharePoint into Relatics. You now have the ability to enable the checkbox to update a Relatics element URL to the external system. In layman's terms, we are sending out a Relatics hyperlink to that external system, which allows your SharePoint administrator to actually add a column into Relatics, as you can see on the right-hand side, a column that shows you a Relatics hyperlink and allows users to click on that link to be immediately brought to the page of that specific document from SharePoint. Yeah, so a lot in the What's More segment.
Amazing. So that's what's more. Now you might think that this might be all. No, actually there is also even more, and you know, some more marginal improvements. But the thing is, every episode, the three of us together with the team that produces this, we have to be very critical about which features and improvements we actually include in here. Because, I mean, there's only so much time we have every episode, and the most important thing is not to just present the features, but to also actually do justice to the hard work that our developers do. So, what do we have? We also have our release notes that we send out every release. Now, if you want to know about all the detailed developments that have happened over the last cycle, or you just want to read at your own tempo instead of listening, you know, to me, we send out these release notes simultaneously when we release the new Relatics version. So you can receive these in your inbox. Just go to our website, scroll to the footer, and you will see the sign-up field where you can sign up for our release notes. Yeah, I think that was about it for the What's More segment. Now, on to another topic, because we have had our Relatics Essentials and our Advanced training, which you could follow free of charge, where you can practice and brush up on your Relatics skills. However, we have released also something new. We have released a way to test your skills and your knowledge and to actually get certified. Ruben, as our trainer, please take it away.
Yeah, so in previous webinars, of course, we talked about Relatics Essentials and the Relatics Advanced, basically providing you with a free online training in all the necessary power user skills for Relatics 6. So I want to show you this in the website. So we'll move to my screen. You can find these Relatics Essentials and Relatics Advanced on our website. Just go to resources and click on the Relatics Academy, where you can also sign up for any physical or classroom trainings. We actually have those online learning courses available here as well. And it's completely free of charge. You can sign up, create an account, and then follow the topics in the Relatics Essentials and the Relatics Advanced. But since a couple of weeks, we've actually added the certification, allowing you to get officially certified as a Relatics power user for a fee. So this is an official exam with multiple choice questions, which with no time limit, so you can take as long as you want, but it's actually there to test your skills, which you've learned, of course, in the Essentials and the Advanced courses. For a limited time, we're actually providing any viewers with a voucher or a code which you can add into certification to follow the certification free of charge. So this is a limited offer where you can take the certification free of charge as well. And this code is Get Certified in all caps, which you can see in the screen as well. And don't worry if you missed this voucher in the webinar. We're also adding that voucher to the release notes, so you can get that there as well, allowing you to follow the Essentials and the Advanced and to get officially certified for free for a limited time only. And I think this really completes the experience we have on the Relatics Academy. So you have all the necessary skills you need to become a successful power user on the project when implementing Relatics 6. And if you get a passing grade into the exam, you will be met with a certification or a certificate, an online certificate you can share on your social. So we'll move back to the PowerPoint to show you how that certificate looks like. And look at that, I can be the first to officially congratulate my colleague Martin Dijkstra for achieving his certification, his official certification as a Relatics 6 power user. Thanks. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, congratulations indeed, Martin. So don't miss this opportunity to become a certified power user completely free of charge. And with that, I think we've had the last topic for today. Time to take a breath. It's been a lot of good stuff. Now, when will this all be released? Relatics 6.7 will be released at the beginning of next week. Simultaneously, of course, as mentioned, we will provide you with the release notes straight to your inbox. Now, the next episode will be in a couple of weeks at the end of the next cycle. So keep an eye on your inbox. Stay tuned on LinkedIn to know when the next date will be there. And with that, I would like to sign off. Thank you, guys. And thank you to our viewers at home. See you next time.